Okay, we're on John 19, and we're about to see that Jesus Christ gets crucified. Now, if it's a good thing, I like to do this too. Sometimes we find that we are in ourselves and we say, I feel no connection. We're all about feelings. Humans like to feel and we like to see. And that's why Jesus Christ had to come do a miracle, because this is what we are as humans. We like to see things with our eyes, feel things with our emotions. If we can get our emotions going, then that's when that's rule number one in sales. Anybody for sales, that's rule number one. Hit the emotions. People don't purchase things off of just because you're a nice guy or whatever. They want you to hit their emotions with something. So beware of who's trying to hit your emotions and hit anything else. But be aware who's trying to come to you and get you all riled up inside. Whether they come in with smooth words that are sweet as honey just to get you aroused in something or whatever. What if, when someone starts to speak, first thing you should think is, what is this person trying to sell me and why? So that you can beware. But when praying, I know this because I feel it myself sometimes too. We want to feel that deep emotion with God. We want to feel God. I feel so connected. My spiritual sense is tingling like a Spidey sense or something, Spider-Man sense. My I got my prayer sense is tingling, and it doesn't have to be that way all the time. But for some reason, we feel like that we're doing the most in prayer when we're able to get the feelings and the emotions and the vibes going in us. So, if we, I mean, God understands that. That's why He sent Jesus to do miracles, because He knows what humans work off of: feelings, vibes, sight. That's why Jesus couldn't just come and say, everybody turn to. And can you imagine Jesus Christ didn't have miracle one, and He just starts walking around and said, everybody come to the kingdom of God. They say, who are you to have me follow you? What are you doing for me today? Uh, the priest told me to do this. Why do I need you for what? That's why he had to come back with miracles. But in prayer, if you feel like you want to have that, that feeling, or the feeling of goodness or whatever, some kind of connection to God, I think that it's good to remember. Start off, if you're about to pray, start off remembering Jesus Christ being on the cross, how He bled, how He died for you. Even if you have to turn on a movie and watch a Jesus Christ show, and then get the, just like recently this movie Roots, that I'm hoping I find it on a bootleg or something. Because I don't keep a cable. I don't keep cable. I mean, for what? But they've redone the movie Roots. Back then, we know LeVar Burton was Kunta Kinte in the old movie Roots. If you don't know Roots, I don't know where you've been. But if this is like year 3000, you're watching it. Roots is a movie where it's a story about the slavery in America. America was pretty much, you could say, founded with slavery. Slaves being brought over, people being brought over from Africa, and brought to America and whipped, beaten, captured, kept to be slaves to homeowners or people who are trying to, uh, what's the words to say? Not homeowners. I'm half asleep, sorry. Um, just people. People, and it's almost like a one race against another. You have black, you have white. So white people were like the slave masters, and to mention black, the Africans that were brought over, they're not the only slaves that America had. I mean, there were people brought from China, people brought from other places that were slaves too, at different points in time in history. But anyway, this movie is about um, the travels, or the captures of African people brought to America, and who were made slaves and did all the hard work for the slave master, and got beat and didn't want to live like that. So many tried to escape, and in that escape, many got killed. So the movie has just gotten redid, and it's got Ti in it, or Tip, or and other actors and stuff, and they've they've redone it, reimagined it, or whatever. I haven't seen it. I'm just going off of what the commercials or the little snippets that I see. But I hope to watch the whole thing when I find it. It's probably on like internet or something. So, but it's good to watch because you can see people who've watched already. You can see, I mean, whether they're white, they're black, whatever race, they're like, wow, that really touched my emotions. That really got me tearing. I'm crying over here. You can see all these posts about this, how just reliving that because you go on your day to day and you just forget the actual impact that something from the past had. And it takes you to actually sit down and relive it in order to get the full impact of what did that mean. For example, you say, oh, here's something too before I say this. If this is year 3000 that you're watching, it's probably you have never even heard this version of slavery in America because as it is now, the textbooks and everything they're trying to change the story of slavery. Where right now, people are trying to stand up for these textbooks that are coming out because they're putting into the textbooks, oh, slavery, back in whatever, 1800s or whatever, 1700s, they're trying to say there was no slavery. They're trying to say, oh, this was a very jolly trip where white men went to Africa and just cordially invited African people to come over on a boat ride. And as they boat rode over back to America, they had a party and it was so fun. And when they got there, they offered them jobs, a place to stay. They offered them food to eat. I mean, they just were treated so good. And they lived together in peace and harmony. Now, probably by the time you get to year 3000, that's the story you probably heard about the slavery time in America, but that is definitely far from the truth. It was a capture, a dragging over in 6 ships where some people didn't even make it, and they would toss the dead, sick bodies off. Some people were still alive. If you were dead, you got tossed off. If you were extremely sick, you got tossed off right into the water to just drown to your death. So, and then you're dragged back to America to be a slave and you're beaten. You got lashes on your back like they beat Jesus Christ. So sometimes it takes you to flashback to get the full impact, the powerful meaning of a time in history. So we can go on day to day and say, yeah, slavery was there. Yes, we're now in a new time where, and I really don't want to bring this up, but I read a post where Snoop Dogg is saying, everybody, just forget about that. I'm tired of seeing roots and all these old stories. Why don't we focus on the people of today? What we do when we have the BET Awards, what you think that's for? What movie can you imagine? Imagine this. Snoop Dogg is calling for us to focus and make movies on the black people who are doing stuff in this time instead of flashing back to the history. Okay, for example, let's do Snoop Dogg's history. Okay, Snoop Dogg, California, Snoop Dogg. He changed his name to Snoop Lion. The end. I mean, what's the story for this? Am I touched by this? We know he's on a couple of comedy shows. He smokes weed. I mean, do something and then you'll get a story written. Like Muhammad Ali, rest in peace, he died today. I mean, that's a story to write. I mean, this man walked around, not only is he a boxer and just great in his profession, but he goes around and does something meaningful. That's the thing. What's meaningful? Is Snoop Dogg doing something meaningful? Now he does a couple of videos here and there. He comments on stuff like he just did the Roots thing, which was unneeded. Encouraging people. I mean, if you can have your own opinion, but to encourage y'all, you have a lot of followers. I mean, my first CD that I brought was a Snoop Dogg CD. You have a lot of followers and influenceable followers too. So you're gonna take your mindset and give it to them. You gotta be more careful and wise of what you're telling other people to do. Because I was reading the comments and some people are going along with it and some people have their own mind, so they're not just gonna follow anything. And fortunately they're making good comments too about this is important, Roots is important. But some people are like, Yeah, Snoop Dogg's right. I am kind of tired of hearing that. What are you talking about? When do we talk about slavery? Never. No one ever talks about slavery. That's the reason for the remake. So for someone to come out and say, why are we talking about slavery? Because it's never talked about. Because as it is, people are trying to rewrite history and say that this was just some kind of jolly journey from Africa to America to give African people jobs. Can you imagine that? Who needed a job? They're living freely. They're enjoying their tribes, their colonies, whatever's out there. They're living life as they know it, and they don't care about being dragged away from their family to get jobs. That's not the story of slavery. So I can go on and on and on, but what I'm trying to say is the whole point is that it's important to flashback and relive something. Because as it is, that Roots movie that they redid, Roots came out, I don't even know, long time ago. I mean, people have been forgotten about it. I haven't even really seen any slavery show since then. It might have been like Django. I mean, that's not really showing us anything. That has like a plot of a movie to, I mean, the focus isn't on slavery and the abuse or anything like that. It's just a movie set in the setting of slavery times, but to actually focus on slavery. And you can see the posts on social media from white, black, everybody. People are, I'm tearing up. I can't believe this. Oh, I'm so sad. So it takes you to actually relive something to know the importance of it. And that's the same thing with Jesus Christ. If you, excuse me, if you're planning to pray to God and you feel that your prayers are dead or you don't feel it inside of yourself, all it takes is you to remember Jesus Christ and what he did by either watching one of the films that they made, one of the greatest so far, that shows the actual pain and abuse that he took on that cross, would be Passion of the Christ. That's one. There's others. There's many. Check on Netflix instead of Netflix and chill. Get Netflix and real. I mean something else. Flip on your Netflix and search for a Jesus movie. Check it out. Let that sink into you. Let your feelings and emotions, don't try to lock them in. Let them out. Let you go ahead and cry about it if you want to. Know what this means for your life, just like slavery. Know what that slavery, all those people getting whips on their back, being beat, wanting to escape to freedom, but there's nowhere. They're trapped in this whole place where if they're seen out, they're going to get captured. Know how that feels. Know what it's like to go through that. Put yourself in that position and you'll really feel it. And that way you can open yourself up in prayer. So, Jesus Christ is about to get crucified right now. I'll just go ahead with John 19. Then Pilate ordered that Jesus be taken away and whipped. The soldiers made a crown from thorny branches and put it on his head. Then they put a purple robe around him. A few days ago, it was on my radio show. This is where I'm from. This is where I'm thinking this from, just to interrupt. They put a purple robe around him. In the Bible, all throughout the Bible, the color purple is always seen as some kind of royalty. You would have heard that if you listen to my radio program. This is no plug, and I'm just mentioning it. I mentioned this like last week. Ooh, huh? Hello? Oh my God. How would you when you had locked the door? Now who would do this? Okay. Bye. Um, I'm not feel like chopping up this video, so just hold as I come back. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm back now. Yeah, just a little mention that purple is the color of royalty. So, throughout the Bible, you'll see purple, 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 and that's about royalty. on my radio program last week, party934.com. It's called Out the Trap. I was just mentioning, what was last week's theme? I try to have a theme for each week. Oh dang. Oh yeah, it was Boys and Girls Club, I think. And it was a little subject about games. You grow up, and especially in the poverty areas, and even in other areas too. And two of the highest gangs in the world, Bloods and Crips. I mean, they're always recruiting. And people sometimes in your own neighborhood, they try to start it up, and it's like a more watered down version of it. But anyway, instead of growing up and just choosing, are you going to be a Blood or a Crip? Where I've seen people choose both. I mean, this is how far they can sometimes get when somebody tries to act like they're so gangster or whatever. They'll choose both just to be down with both, and nobody has really. Is this the same? Yeah, I think even I've seen Snoop Dogg do that over the years. But other than that, it's not. A lot of people are convinced that a lot of kids get convinced that, oh, this is what's to do, this is what's hot to do, or whatever. So they always they'll hop up to a gang and either choose Bloods or Crips or whatever. When, if you think about it, you should just be choosing yourself and be on God's gang, because that's who's really going to stand up for you. A lot of people claim loyalty in games or whatever, and then when you're in trouble, they turn away like Peter did, as I read yesterday. They're not there to have your back, and then you're dead or in jail. That's the only two paths that a gang will lead to. But anyway, you choose red or blue, and then you have to end up hating the other color for the rest of your life, or not wearing the other color, or just eliminating a letter out of your words. Like, if I was gonna say, if I was a Crip and I was supposed to say bye, then I'd have to say sigh instead of B. And you gotta avoid B's and C's and all this. I mean, alphabetical, elementary stuff. But in my program, can you turn it down, please? In my program, then I was saying that instead of choosing red or blue, combine those two together and make the color purple. Red and blue together make purple, and that's the color of God. Start wearing purple. I mean, be on God's team. That's the winning team. It's the safest bet, instead of just going around wearing colors and killing and whatever just because of a color. It's stupid. But anyway, purple. Then they put a purple robe around him. They kept coming up to him and saying, "Hail to the King of the Jews," and they hit him in the face. Again, Pilate came out and said to Jewish leaders, "Look, I am bringing Jesus out to you. I want you to know that I find nothing I can charge him with." Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. Pilate said to the Jews, "Here is the man." When the leading priests and the Jewish guards saw Jesus, they shouted, "Kill him on a cross! Kill him on a cross!" But Pilate answered, "You take him and nail him to a cross yourselves. I find nothing I can charge him with." The Jewish leaders answered, "We have a law that says he must die because he said he is the Son of God." When Pilate heard this, he was more afraid. So he went back inside the palace and asked Jesus, "Where are you from?" But Jesus did not answer him. Pilate said, "You refuse to speak to me? Remember, I have the power to make you free or to kill you on a cross." Jesus answered, "The only power you have over me is the power given to you by God. So the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." After this, Pilate tried to let Jesus go free, but the Jewish leader shouted, "Anyone who makes himself a king is against Caesar. So if you let this man go free, that means you are not Caesar's friend." When Pilate heard this, he brought Jesus out to the place called the Stone Pavement. In Aramaic, the name is Gabbatha. Pilate sat down on the judge's seat there. It was now almost noon on preparation day of Passover week. Pilate said to the Jews, "Here is your king." They shouted, take him away, kill him on a cross." Pilate asked them, "Do you want me to kill your king on a cross?" The leading priests answered, The only king we have is Caesar. So Pilate handed Jesus over to them to be killed on the cross. So they have levels to this. The Jewish leaders, they can only go so far. They can't kill. So they have to step over to the Roman side, which have laws where they can kill people. And Rome is really the ruler of this whole area at that time. So they're bringing over to to a lower level Roman ruler, Pilate, and they're saying, "Hey, kill him. That's it. Just kill him." And Pilate's going to this man. He's like, this man's done nothing, and you can see that Pilate's somebody fair, and plus his wife in another version. That's why I have to go and read another version of Jesus' story, because I'm going to read either Mark or Luke, as I've been saying. Because in it tells us that Pilate's wife is actually in his ear saying, "Look, I just woke up from a dream about this man, and this man has done nothing wrong." And the dream obviously was from God. God can work in dreams just like in reality. And she's saying, telling her husband, "Look, don't have anything to do with killing this man, because this man has done nothing wrong, and I see that he's holy, and there's something different about this man. Don't kill him." So Pilate's going back and forth. He's trying to find any way not to kill him. He's like, "Oh, this man's done nothing wrong." And they're like, "Get back in there and get ready to kill him." So he goes in there and tries to talk to him and see who is this man. So he says, "Where are you from?" Jesus doesn't say anything. And he's like, "Wait a second. I'm trying to save your life here. You're going to be all snappy to me?" And he's like, "You refuse to speak to me? Remember, I have the power to kill you or to make you free." And Jesus is like, "Wait a second. You would have no power if it were not for God. The power you have, I could take it if I wanted to. You have no power over me." So anyway, he goes back out and they're still yelling, "Kill him, kill him. If you don't kill him, you know Caesar was the highest ruler of all of that land." So they're like, "This man is stepping up trying to be a ruler. He's trying to lead. He's trying to be a ruler and take over Caesar's place. So you have to kill him." Whoop. Huh? It's like this. I'm doing this. Okay, just give me a minute. But anyway, so he's like, he's trying to, the Jewish leaders are saying that if you don't kill him, then you're no friend to Caesar, because this man is ultimately going to take Caesar's spot since he is gaining a large following. So he had no choice but to hand him over to be killed on a cross. So, Jesus is nailed to a cross. The soldiers took Jesus. He carried his own cross to a place called the Place of the Skull. In Aramaic, the name of this place is Golgotha. There they nailed Jesus to the cross. They also nailed two other men to crosses. They put them on each side of Jesus with him in the middle. Pilate told them to write a sign and put it on the cross. The sign said, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." The sign was written in Aramaic, in Latin, and in Greek. Many of the Jews read this sign because the place where Jesus was nailed to the cross was near the city. The leading Jewish priest said to Pilate, "Don't write the King of the Jews, but write, 'This man said, I am the King of the Jews.'" Pilate answered, "I will not change what I've written." After the soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross, they took his clothes and divided them into 4 parts. Each soldier got 1 part. They also took his tunic. It was all one piece of cloth woven from top to bottom. So the soldiers said to each other, "We should not tear this into parts. Let's throw lots to see who will get it." This happened to make clear the full meaning of the scriptures, when it says in Psalms 22:18, "They divided my clothes among them, and they threw lots for what I was wearing." So in that section, they're flashing back to the Old Testament, when it predicted Jesus would go through this. And it's coming true right now. In the Old Testament, it said that they took his clothes and divided them up amongst themselves, and they gambled for the clothes that he was wearing. So the soldiers did this. Jesus' mother stood near his cross. Her sister was also standing there with Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. So many Marys, 3 Marys standing in a row. Mary, Mary, Mary. Jesus saw his mother. He also saw the follower he loved very much standing there. He said to his mother, Dear woman, here is your son. Then he said to the follower, here is your mother. So after that, this follower took Jesus' mother to live in his home. So we can see what's going on there. Jesus got put on the cross, and you see how quick it goes. That's why you have to. It's better to to think about all the things that Jesus went through as he was put on that cross, because it just said it summed it up in one sentence. There they nailed Jesus to the cross. Oh, it was much more than that. Just he got nailed to a cross. No, he got nails pounded into his hand and into his feet, and he had to be on the cross in the hot sun, bleeding to death. I mean, and much more. And you can, fortunately, we have videos and movies that we can go to see the actual depiction of what's going on, which can emphasize it more than just that one sentence there. They nailed Jesus to the cross. So yeah, they're just being rude to him, ornery. They're being bad natured. What's the word I'm looking for? They're being aggravating to him. They're writing teasing words on his sign. I mean, here's the King of the Jews, which he actually is, but King of the world. And they're taking his clothes and dividing them up. It must have been like expensive clothes or whatever, and they're trying to bet on who's going to get what, and they're just being aggravated and trying to rub injury into insult, or add insult to injury. That's the word. So I'm going to get to the second to last subject, which says Jesus dies. Later, Jesus knew that everything had been done. To make the scripture come true, he said, I am thirsty. There was a jar full of sour wine there, so the soldiers soaked a sponge in it. In the Old Testament, I think it says vinegar, so I don't know. Vinegar, sour wine, I guess the same thing. They put the sponge on a branch of a hyssop plant and lifted it to Jesus' mouth. When he tasted the wine, he said, it is finished. Then he bowed his head and died. This day was preparation day. The next day was a special Sabbath day. The Jewish leaders did not want the bodies to stay on the cross on the Sabbath day, so they asked Pilate to order that the legs of the men be broken, and they asked that the bodies be taken down from the crosses. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the two men on the crosses beside Jesus. But when the soldiers came close to Jesus, they saw that he was already dead, so they did not break his leg. But one of the soldiers stuck his spear into Jesus' side. Immediately, blood and water came out. The one who saw this happen has told about it. He told about it so that you can also believe. The things he says are true. He knows that he tells the truth. So they inserted that because Jesus is a one of miracles, of course. Jesus is God. He can do anything and make anything happen. So you can see this person thinking when they tell the part about how they stood there and saw that somebody stuck a spear in Jesus' side, and then blood, not only blood, but also water came out. Now, any rational thinking person would think blood and water came out. Really? Blood and water both. Now, wouldn't the water mix in with the blood and be so that you can't see the water anymore? So obviously, somehow it has come out separately. There's water and blood coming out. Maybe he saw sweat droplets. I have no clue. But he knew that part sounded so unbelievable that he needed to add a little extra oomph to it and say, the one who saw this happen has told about it. He told about it so that you can believe too. The things he say are true. He knows that he tells the truth. I guess that part, they had him, if nobody else saw it, when he was writing that down, he's probably gotten a writer to write this for him. He's just telling you the story of Jesus, and they're writing. And then when that first part came, the person's writing his story, and then he says, and write down too that they stuck a spear in his side, and blood and water came out. And while he's writing, it's coming in his head like, what? Blood, you said blood, right? Okay, I believe the blood. No, blood and water. Blood and water came out of him. How did that happen? So, are you sure? Blood, you want me to put blood and water down? So, he's unbelieving while he's writing this. And so, he has to make sure that we know that this person swears and is saying that it's authentic that blood and water came out of Jesus Christ. So he's saying the one who saw this happen has told about it. He told about it so that you can believe, and the things he says are true. He knows that he tells the truth. Then it says, these things happen to give full meaning to the scriptures that said, none of his bones will be broken, and people will look at the one they stabbed. So more prophecy being fulfilled. This was written back in the Old Testament that none of his bones will be broken. So Jesus is on the cross. Two people on the side of him. They're still alive, but they're about to die. And just so that they won't run away or anything, they break their legs because they have to be taken down because here comes a precious celebration. And they can't leave these dead bodies up while they're trying to party in the area. So they have to take all three of the bodies down, Christ and the two people on the side. Two people are about to die too from the bleeding to death in the hot sun, but they're still alive. But Jesus Christ is already gone. So they break these two guys' legs. They don't have to break Jesus' legs because he's already dead. And I think that was happening because Jesus Christ could heal himself, of course, but later on he's going to raise from the dead and be walking around, so he needs those legs. Okay, so last subject of tonight, because I will do John 20 actually tomorrow, because it's getting pretty late. Jesus is buried. Later, a man named Joseph from Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Joseph was a follower of Jesus, but he did not tell anyone because he was afraid of Jewish leaders. Pilate said Joseph could take Jesus' body, so he came and took it away. Nicodemus went with Joseph. He was the man who had come to Jesus before and talked to him at night. He brought 100 pounds of spices, a mixture of myrrh and aloes. These two men took Jesus' body and wrapped it in pieces of linen cloth with the spices. This is how the Jews bury people. In the place where Jesus was killed on the cross, there was a garden. In the garden there was a new tomb. No one had ever been buried there before. The men put Jesus in that tomb because it was near, and the Jews were preparing to start their Sabbath day. So these two men cared about Jesus Christ. One of the men, he followed Jesus Christ, but he kept it secret. People will follow you, like people will watch these videos, but they won't give a like, but they don't have to, as long as they're getting the godly wisdom. People will follow you in secret. Some will follow you just to hate on you, just to look on. Ooh, girl, I looked at that video she made, and ooh, she came on her hair wasn't done or nothing. She had this raggedy old scarf on, and she let hair sleep. Oh my God! And I mean, people will follow you just so they can go run it and tell that to somebody else and get the gossip rolling, like anything matters. But that's some people's life. You gotta let them live how they live, get how they get, whatever. But there's some people who follow you in secret, who want to know more about what you're talking about. They probably live in an area where Jesus Christ isn't pronounced or isn't celebrated or isn't, what's the word? Jesus Christ isn't believed in. And they hear about Jesus Christ and they want to know more to see if it's the truth or not. So they'll listen in, they'll look in your life and see how are you living life. Do you live up to godly principles? What's this Jesus thing about? And if you're actually living up to godly things, then slowly inside they'll start seeing that that's the truth. You're influencing them, and they can actually have a relationship with God. So that's who this man Joseph was. He wanted to hear more about God, but he wasn't going to tell the people around him that he listened to Jesus, but he still would follow Jesus. So, and he cared about Jesus. So he might have been someone who had money or whatever. So he had the power to go and get Jesus down and prepare him for burial. And also not only Joseph, but Nicodemus. If you remember, Nicodemus was he's like one of the priest people. And you can imagine it's kind of hard to try to do something different when your whole crew is against what you're trying to do. So Jesus is there telling the truth about God, and these priests are stuck in their old mindset where they think, oh, we know all the writings in the scripture, we know everything about God. This new man can't be about God. So they've got that mindset, but Nicodemus sees something in Jesus, and he knows it's the truth of God. And he's a secret follower almost too. And remember, like in John 7 or something, he sat with Jesus and said, I know you must be of God. No one can do miracles like you. So he believes too, almost in secret. So both of those two men together, Joseph and Nicodemus, they go and scoop Jesus Christ's body up and prepare him with all these kind of spices, which is what they did back in, or what they did in Israel. And they put him in a new tomb, brand new tomb, never used before. So everyone, it is now 11:40. And I'm hoping that you go and have a good night. What's the name? Saturday. And just leaving you with this prayer of Jesus Christ. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy is your name. Your kingdom will come, your will be done on this earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive those who have debts against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Because it's yours, it's the kingdom and power and glory forever and ever. In Jesus' name. Everyone, have a very blessed night, and I will be back tomorrow with John 20. Goodbye.